as we all know, and I'm sure you've experienced in your career, there's a stigma associated with seeking, help for mental health issues. And something that we've spoken about for our communities in particular. We're supposed to be strong. We have to take everything that life gives us, good, bad, and indifferent, and take it on the chin and keep on moving. And sometimes there's a lot of trauma that comes with that that people don't know how to deal with. So talk a little bit about that as far as like the stigma that's associated with it, and how can we as a people get past that and not feel that we're less of because we're seeking help.
I mean, I think it's a complicated set of things I think about, and one of them is that there is a strong, intense history of racism in mental health and in health in general and healthcare in general, and so we don't ignore that. That's real. That really happened. These awful things like, craniometry, where they were measuring skulls and saying, blacks are, less intelligent because they're small. And then basing neuroscience on it and basing other practices of personality on it. That's real. I mean, it's still even sometimes present in like in literature and the history. So that stuff is real, and you can't undo that stuff. That stuff is still even present in mental health systems today. So I do think to feel like you could go somewhere and someone you would be stigmatized as like crazy, or like that your symptoms aren't normative in some ways. I think that stuff is really real, and I would never take that away from somebody, because not only did that happen, it can still happen today where someone's racist, against you in a therapy room. So it's really real. And so I get that piece from the systemic perspective of healthcare and mental health care. It's just been there. And I think part of our jobs, and something we've always taken really seriously, is combating that even within the field. I remember when I was in graduate school, these two white women gave this presentation about alcoholism, and they were like, Black people drink because there's Packies on every corner, and Latino people drink because they live in permissive cultures. Literally, this is what they said. And I got up and I fought them, and I got in trouble for that. I ended up getting called, I have to see the professor, and I really got a reputation on campus as being like a racial instigator. Because you're militant. They saw you as militant afterwards. I felt like those white women need to walk out of that room and feel like that was not okay. They were at the end of the class. I got called up, and they were crying, and they were like, "Am I gonna get an A?" I was like, "Is that really what you're coming away with? You're coming away with, am I gonna get an A?" And he wanted me to apologize to them. I refused to apologize to them, and I was like, "This is a problem. You just taught 30 students that this is how alcoholism happens." And so, I think that I feel an intense responsibility to fight this in the system as it is. And there are a lot of us out there who do and actively fight it within the system. I also think in our cultures, we're often taught that you don't go see a therapist unless you're crazy. And sometimes you can be crazy. You could be the uncle that lives in the basement. Everyone knows he's got issues, but he still doesn't see anyone. And so I think that there's a lot in our culture that it's been influenced by the racism that exists in the system, but also too, our culture is very afraid of what it could do for you, because they've seen sometimes the worst of it. And so I do feel like it's really important. I feel very proud when my clients say to me, "Well, I was telling my friend about you," and I was like, "My therapist," and because my white clients do it all the time. My white clients talk about their therapist it's like carrying Gucci on them or Louis Vuitton. It's a status symbol, but in Black communities it's a shame symbol. And so when my Black clients say, "I was talking about you the other day," I feel so proud, because I was like, that is destigmatizing it. If I say my therapist said, or my therapist, and I go to my therapist, it helps to destigmatize. You can have a therapist. I had a therapist for many, many years. And if it weren't for those therapists, my life wouldn't be where it is today. It changed the trajectory of my life and my children's lives and the future generations' lives. You can impact trauma in your family by impacting the way you deal with trauma, and it can change it for generations. It's pretty magical, when you can make a change around these kinds of things.
So